Hello and welcome to week 3 of EDUC3343. This is to help a little clarification on the assignments for the week. So week 3, we're going to be studying chapters 4 and 5 about the home and school students. This may be one of the most important chapters that you read because it's all about relationships with the students and the parents. If you don't have those relationships, your year is not going to go as well. So be sure and work really hard. There's so many things that it talks about at students that we have to deal with, and all of their different stages that they go through, all of the different things that they deal with and that you will have to deal with too. So it's a great chapter. The other one, this chapter 5, is about multicultural history. It's all about the education of our education and how it started and where it came from and why this happened and what happened to cause this to happen. So it's very interesting because it goes back from the very, very beginning. There's great PowerPoints and a wonderful video about the history of education, so be sure and watch those. Our devotional this week is about Jude. Last year, our church, we did a study on Jude. And Jude, the book of Jude is very short, but what he's doing, he is telling us about false teachers. Be careful to watch out for people that are teaching other than about Jesus Christ and how he died on the cross for our sins. And the big thing about Jude is at the very beginning, he says we are called, loved, and kept by God. And, to me, that is so profound to think that I'm loved by God. I'm kept by him. All the time, he keeps me safe. And I am called. I'm called. He calls me into his kingdom to proclaim his word and to share his love. So the devotional is, what experience have you had on any of those things that have been so meaningful to you, and to share about that? Because, those things they're huge. I think the one that really resonated with me the most is that he kept me. He keeps me. He keeps me close. He keeps me inside of him where I know that I'm protected all the time. So I look forward to you sharing. Okay, our interactive assessment is about parental relationships. As I said earlier, the relationships are probably one of the most important things that you will deal with in your teaching career. And it's so important that you work on those and make those great. There are a lot of strategies that are shared there about working with parents and how important it is. And so I think this will be very effective in the conversation. The communication between the groups this week should be very interesting about parental relationships. I've had some good ones and I've had some bad ones. Sometimes you're going to get really good relationships, and sometimes they're going to be parents that you can't do anything wrong. I used to love to do the calls home. Have the child call their parent at work and tell them something great that happened that day. That's a good way to form relationships with parents. Notes home, anything that is positive. Find those positive things to share with those parents with that child. Sometimes it'll be a little bit more difficult than others. Sometimes you really have to dig to find good things, but watch for those great things that those kids do. Okay, the next assignment is about classroom diversity. Wow. So just as a side note here, I don't believe you will ever have a classroom quite this diverse, so relax and don't freak out on that, because in this assignment, it's packed everything into one. But it's to help show you how diverse your classroom can be, depending on where you are, where you teach. Maybe here in East Texas, you're not going to have the Ukrainian people and all of those diverse language thing, but you never know. Years ago, when I first started teaching, they were talking about how society within, I think it might have been 2024, I don't remember, which sounded like an eternity back then, that the whites were going to be in a minority. And I thought, oh, that's not possible. But hey, we're here. We're here, and we deal with it, and it's great. It's great to have all this diversity among us because it teaches us so many things. So what you need is, remember, down after everything's listed, you've got 3 special needs students on top of all that diversity. So you've got 1 high functioning with autism. If you don't know anything about autism, you better be reading, because I guarantee you're going to have somebody with autism in your classroom. It is so rampant right now, these days, that, it is just something that's a given. It's going to be there. You're going to deal with it. So you need to make sure that you know about it. I had an autistic child one time, and his big thing was you couldn't change quickly from one thing. You had to help plan and work him into the next thing that was going to happen, because the fast change was very mind-boggling to him, and he just did not deal with it well. So those are the things you need to learn. You've got some that are in poverty. You've got ELL students. So what the assignment is asking you to is to plan. Over the summer, you're going to have these students. So to plan ahead, what kinds of services do you need for these students? What kind of support do you need for these students? What kind of strategies do you need to use in your classroom? Because you need to plan ahead, because I'm guaranteeing you those ELL students are not needing the same thing as your special ed students. So be prepared. Know what you need. Know the support. Know the services. Know the extra strategies that you need to know before you start your classroom that year. Okay, plan ahead. That's the whole key. Okay, your roadmap. The whole chapter 5 is about the history of education. So I want you to look at all that, make notes, and decide which events do you feel in your heart really made education what it is today. Okay, so take those events and make a roadmap. You can design it any way you want. This is your creative time to do. You can do it on the computer, you can draw it, you can do it however you want to. It does not matter to me. I love to see the creativity. But tell the different steps that you feel like are important, okay? And then predict the future. What do you think is going to happen in the future? What's going to happen? How is it going to change? I want you to really, really dig down in your creative juices this time and tell us, what is it that you think is going to happen in the future? Okay, then you have your reflection. Make sure you're writing your reflection. Tell me, why did you pick what you picked in your roadmap? Why are those things important? And why do you think the future is going to be as it is? Okay, so be sure that your written reflection, it tells all about those things. That's what is important. Okay, your influential educator. In chapter 5, there's a section about many influential educators that have lived and made a big difference. I want you to write about the one that is most interesting to you, and be sure and tell me why you think that they are the most important. Now, it tells to don't use just the book, that you need one more credible resource to use to give any information at all. So that's interesting, and it tells a lot about what interests you, okay? So find the one that is most interesting to you. Now, I am here all the time for you, for any questions that you may have, any help, any guidance. People are letting me know when things are going on in their lives and their paper's going to be late. I get it. life happens. Okay, so let me know. Keep me in tune. Okay, have a great week.